Welcome to the Meibock Experts podcast. We bring to light the unique opportunities brands face in today's e-commerce world.
Hi, this is James Thompson from the Meibock Experts podcast. Today's episode is part of a special series of interviews that we have done to dive deeper into the recent phenomenon of private equity companies and FBA aggregators investing in private label brands that are leveraging the Amazon sales channel. As part of this series, we interview a wide range of investors, brokers, consultants, and entrepreneurs that have recently sold their private label brands. We peel back the layers on what's happening in this new investment space and look at how private label brands are finding financial success through the building and eventual sale of their online businesses. For 3 weeks, from mid-February through early March, we will release a new episode every weekday on this topic. Sit back and enjoy today's episode. Hi, I'm James Thompson, one of the hosts of the Meibock Experts podcast. I'm a partner with Meibock Experts and the former business head for the Selling on Amazon team at Amazon, as well as the first account manager for the Fulfillment by Amazon program. I'm co-author of a couple of books on Amazon, including the recent book, Controlling Your Brand in the Age of Amazon. Today's episode is brought to you by Meibock Experts. Meibock Experts takes ambitious brands and makes them unbeatable. When you hire Meibock Experts, you receive the strategy, optimization, and marketing performance to succeed on Amazon. Meibock Experts combines executive-level advisory services with expert performance management and execution of your Amazon channel strategy. We also support investors with due diligence services. Go to meibockexperts.com to learn more. Before I introduce our guests today, I want to send a big shout out to the team at Disruptive Advertising. For off-Amazon advertising, Disruptive Advertising offers the highest level of service in the digital marketing industry. Focusing on driving traffic, converting traffic, and enterprise analytics, Disruptive helps their clients increase their bottom line month after month. Check out disruptiveadvertising.com to learn more. I'm very pleased to have two guests today on our podcast, Carol and Tony Meibock, the co-founders of a private label beauty brand, True Remedy Naturals. After growing this business over 3 years on Amazon, they sold to one of the big FBA aggregators in 2020. We welcome Carol and Tony today onto our Meibock Experts podcast to learn more about their journey from creation of their brand to decision to sell to the actual sale and exit. Carol and Tony, thank you for joining us today.
No, thank you.
Thanks for having us.
I want to start with a sort of a broad question around these FBA private label businesses. They're a very hot commodity, but they've been around for 20 plus years, as long as the Amazon marketplace. What do you think has caused all this recent interest in investors wanting to buy Amazon businesses?
I think because the pandemic that started and the growth of e-commerce, that's really what's happened. Is most of us, as we started several years ago, started pretty small and with smaller revenues, but now the revenues of a lot of these companies have grown so much with so many reviews that they have that now it's kind of a time for aggregation. You start seeing these aggregators start to come in.
When you started your business, what was the original intent? Did you think that you were going to build something that you were eventually going to sell?
I think for me, it was a lifestyle approach because I wanted to have more flexibility. So in order to have flexibility, I had to compromise I like to be active, but didn't like to sit behind a computer. But it's more important for me to have a great little business of my own and then be able to do whatever I want when I want, like see grandchildren, which were coming down.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So why this category of products? Of all the products you could have created, why this type of product?
I think it was becoming more interesting for people to have more natural type products. And I saw in amongst my friends starting to use tea tree and things like that, things people weren't used to. And
right.
And I really liked those products. So for me, it was I could really enjoy doing.
You identify with it, right?
Yeah, totally identified with it.
When you decided that this is the type of product you want to get into, how did you learn enough about the industry to be in a position to start making products for yourself?
That'd be you.
Well, I have a background in developing products and bringing them to market. So having worked with a large sporting goods firm for about 12, 15 years, I was over in Asia quite a bit, in the R&D centers, developing, working with the designers, getting the whole packaging and shipping into US. So it was kind of a natural fit to help Carol kind of get her products just up and running.
Yeah.
So you decide to get into the naturals product space. You start building products. You start generating sales on Amazon. Tell me about that first year and a half putting products on Amazon. What did you learn? What were you surprised to see?
I think it was a learning process as we went along. Like you'd start something, you'd learn a little more, and then you'd add it. You'd try different things, and
you changed the label quite a few times. At first, the label was just okay, kind of a
typical marketing plan wouldn't work on Amazon. So we really I had to throw things by Tony because he's the creative one. I was the one that was the doer. And then we have a family of young girls who are young women who we'd say, we need to get them all together and say, what do you think about this? Do you like this better than this? And
yes.
Small focus groups.
The small focus groups, yeah.
So eventually you ended up with a handful of products that you have in your catalog now. How many different products did you end up trying out and eventually having to throw away or decide this is not going to work?
There was just a couple, actually.
3 products.
Yeah. 3. One, we tried changing the label a few times, and it probably would have, if we hadn't sold the company, we probably would have let that one go too. But a lot of them really we had a great response from people. So
then a family started. Once the hero products started emerging, then it was obvious to start building more products around that hero product.
Right.
And then it became pretty obvious that the products on the fringe didn't really fit the family of products where we're headed. And so, that was interesting because it was definitely trial by error in the beginning, right? Just to see.
Very much so.
Yeah.
So you've got a corner of your garage that's full of this product that nobody wants. Is that what you're saying?
We've got some interesting samples sitting down in our basement.
Yeah.
So you build up the business, the revenue's starting to come in, you're getting excited because this is not just a lifestyle business. It's a business that's generating some real revenue. At what point did you decide, wait a minute, we might explore potentially selling this business? What was the trigger point?
Well, I think for me, the lifestyle thing again. So all of a sudden I got so busy, I had no time to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And Tony started to create a plan for building or creating an environment where we'd have more staff. And all I could think of is, this is getting too big for me.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I mean, when it first started, Carol was running the business, and in the back of our minds, okay, at some point there's going to be some value to the business. So we structured the company so that they could be sold at some point, but we didn't know when that was, and
mm-hmm.
it was a very loose plan to begin with. But I think this past year, the growth, we had so much growth, and we realized, okay, are we going to grow? And if we're going to grow, especially growing internationally and growing in other platforms, and how are we going to grow in new products and
mm-hmm.
into marketing? When we broke it down, we needed a lot more internal teams to really help the overall logistics.
Right.
As you've probably talked to a lot of sellers, the logistics have been a real big issue this year, and Carol handles all that. All the shipping, all the deliveries, POs, and there was just a lot that we had to do.
Trying to get a blue bottle was very tough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Even raw materials.
Yeah.
Raw materials were very difficult to get. So we were at that level trying to deal with raw material suppliers domestically and internationally. So we got to the point where it's okay, either I've always believed that if you're going to be in a business, you're either leaning into it and growing it or
Yes.
get out.
Yep.
As soon as you kind of get in a mode of, I'm just kind of cruise along, just kind of harvest some profits off of this, I think that's when you really start losing your focus, and chances are the brand may not do so well going forward. So
you're in a mental state that maybe selling the company makes sense. Was there a particular point in time where you said, let's get serious, we actually want to sell it in the next 6 months or the next year? Did somebody call you? Did you reach out to someone? How did things start moving?
I think that we started having a conversation maybe September, October timeframe, just beginning saying, well, maybe in the spring, next couple months.
Yeah, you were always saying March.
Yeah, it's kind of like to start
of 2021.
Yeah,
Okay.
just start pulling creating our vault, right, and really building that vault.
Yes.
Well, we had the vault.
Yeah, but
you always said Tony's experience in the past kept me organized, and he said, you've got to create your vault, have everything in there organized, and
right.
But then we realized we'd have to update it because labels changed, and we might not have quite changed.
Right. And so, but at the same time, we started fielding calls from aggregators calling us.
Okay.
And I think we're fortunate to be in that position. And so we said, well, let's just field these calls. Who knows what's out there? Let's just get a sense of what they're thinking about our business.
So they were proactively finding you and reaching out to you, and you were getting these random cold calls.
Yeah, we did ask I was always curious why they called us or how did they even, find us kind of. And they said that they were looking at specific brands who had a minimum of 5,000 reviews on a product. And so that's what they're looking at on Amazon for. And that's how they looked us up.
One of the metrics for sure.
Yeah.
So, and overall reviews of our business.
So you're getting these calls, you decide to take them seriously and explore where these conversations go. In the meantime, what are you doing behind the scenes to get better organized to be able to engage in these types of discussions where people are asking some tougher questions?
Well, one of the first things we did was this current year we had moved to a new e-commerce specific accounting firm, and so we really focused on cleaning up our books. Like we wanted to have a very strong 12-month P&L.
Yep.
Because we knew that was the metric that it was an aggregator or the buyer is going to be looking at when selling a business. So we cleaned up everything from past several years, had our clean P&L from for this year, and our sales volumes were hitting on targets, and our health accounts has been really positive on our Amazon health account. We want to make sure that everything was just kind of up to speed.
How long did that process of starting to clean up your books to actually having them ready to go that you could share them with someone externally, how long did that take you?
Yeah, that was probably about the 2-month process.
And did you have to do other things behind the scenes that had nothing to do with the financials to be able to make the financials actually be accurate? Were there other operational steps you had to take? Disaggregating costs or anything like that?
Yeah, we just from as the year goes on, right? We've had some price increases to our products.
Yes.
So we're trying to take a look at the profitability. Taking a look at what's the profitability of our business before price increases. What's the profitability of the business after price increases? How will that affect the sale of our business? Is that a positive or negative effect? We have certain profit margins we want to maintain, and to be in a position where we felt we could sell the business. And so that's kind of the vetting that we did just to make sure that we were in a position to actually move forward.
Were there consultants or advisors or other folks that you brought in to help you get ready for this process? You talked about the e-commerce accountant, other types of formal or informal consultants.
Well, I think over the years, like we went to Prosper Show and met with a number of the brokerage firms. I spoke with them. So
yep.
And I follow various blogs and information that I try to get that they're sending out, and essentially had a sense of what the valuations or how an e-commerce business is valued.
Yes.
And, what kind of metrics they're looking for, and I think that's kind of what we started putting together and making sure of. And I want to, Carol and I both want to make sure that we're handing over a business that was, in top performance, both from a revenue standpoint, the product, the supply chain, the entire end to end of the business.
As you went through the process, what kind of standard operating procedures did you have to document so that you could hand somebody the recipe for sourcing or hand them the recipe for running the business day to day on Amazon?
Well, we worked on, and you worked on that too, is on the our SOPs, right?
Well, the SOPs were mostly done. So,
Okay.
But I think we wanted to make sure it was really crisp and it would be easy for someone else to look at.
Well, and the same time, because Amazon's growing through all this as well, right? So their compliance requirements have become much more strict over the past several years. And we're super fortunate to work with a manufacturer that we could have full SOPs of how the product is made all the way through to finished packaging. So we work diligently on that SOP process. But it's also your SOPs for reaching out to customer service, right? Because you handle a lot of customer service and how you email them.
Yep. And even as technical as making sure your product has been tested by a third-party testing.
Oh yeah, that thing about testing. Oh yeah, right. Let me ask you, Carol, you go through this process, you're having to get things organized so that you can show other people your business. What surprised you the most about this whole preparation process?
Well, to be honest with you, I realized how much I loved your products and we were going to give them away. So I think there's the things you had to do, and then there's the heart things. And like, I'm kind of more of a heart person. So I found that I really did love these products, and I was able to say it. I wouldn't have said that through the years of working it. I would have just, I was doing my thing and I liked what we sold and I thought they were good products. But then to think that they were going to be gone, I was like, oh no, okay, now what do I do?
And at the same time, it was like having two jobs, right? It's just all the prep work that we had to go through.
So busy,
right?
busy.
We were so busy, and so yeah, we did have a vault, but going through the process, we learned that our vault was not as up to speed as we had wanted it to be, and it required us to revisit every single document and make sure that the handoff was as clean as possible for the new buyer. And that's just the right thing to do, right, for the new buyer. And, in some cases, we need to make some changes to whether it's a label change or whether it's a SOP change or clean up some of the way some of the language emails we would send to a customer, just to get everything aligned.
Yeah, some things we had just they had evolved with us, and we hadn't documented them because of the changes that were happening so quickly in Amazon last year.
Okay.
Yeah, so that documentation is very important.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff that happens as you're getting ready to show somebody these materials and show off your company. Was there a point where you said, maybe we should stick around for another 6 months or stick around for another year and continue to build this business?
I'm laughing because that was you. That wasn't me. So we had both, Tony and I. Tony was, maybe we should keep going. And I'm like, no, I think the company that purchased us, and their name is Perch, actually, and it was like a great name. They were so kind and so smart, just wonderful people to work with. So they really nurtured us through it. I'd say they were
you felt very comfortable.
I was so comfortable with them that it really helped make it easy to pass the baton. So, and I wasn't thinking it was going to be like that. I thought it would be very difficult to pass it off. But I was like, these guys are going to do a good job with what we have.
What would have had to be different for you to stay an extra year or an extra 2 years? You talked about needing more internal staffing, but were there other things, emotionally, psychologically, that you would have had to work through to say, let's keep going. Let's do what we need to do to keep growing?
Well, we had a couple products that we were just launching, just about to launch when Perch were interested in us. And I loved them. Like, I just thought they were awesome. I thought they were going to be our best product ever.
Okay.
And so that for me was really tough because I was going, oh, it's such a great product. I really want.
You see the growth of that.
I wanted to see the growth of it. And
I think from my side, had we kept on going, bringing in some other help would have been really beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
Bringing the right help on would have really been important, right? And really it's resetting our targets of what do we want to grow towards, right? Because we had hit our targets we were trying to reach. And so we were saying, all right, it's a good time to exit. But, the entrepreneur in me wants to keep on going, right? But
when you eventually sold the business, had you had multiple people seriously look at your business? One bought them, but was there a little bit of a bidding war or some urgency where one company wanted to get in there first and get that LOI signed?
There were a couple companies that were interested. We got some bids.
And did you end up with different perspectives from these different companies around how they were looking at your business as potential growth opportunity?
I did. Yeah. They all have various different strategies on how they're going to grow the business. Mm-hmm. And for the reason we chose to work with Perch is we liked their strategy and the direction that they were going to head with the business. And like Carol said, we felt very comfortable with the team that's going to be managing it moving forward.
So let me ask you a little bit of a personal question. What did you learn about yourselves going through this process? What did you learn about your comforts and discomforts about actually preparing something you've built and selling it to someone else?
Oh, I think from my perspective, I said, I'd never work with Tony. He's he's like the creator.
We work in different parts of the house.
Understood.
I got the basement.
But we were a great team. So it was pretty exciting to be able to work with your husband and create something. I mean, relationships can get a bit sluggish, if you don't try new things together. Mm-hmm. And we found that working on this together, working hard and having successes for me was super exciting. Yep. And I was very proud of myself and of Tony.
Well, the fact that you built something, right? That built something that had value to somebody else. That was very validating. And I think Carol and I feel pretty proud about that.
Yeah.
How do you react to family and friends who say, wow, you built a business, some cool products, and now you've sold it? That's pretty cool. That's not something that happens every day in the neighborhood.
I know our friends and family are so kind to us. They just go, wow, you guys did such a great job. And I'm just like, okay, thank you. Because I'm kind of like, wow, I'm not used to getting praised like that. But yeah, it's exciting. It's been exciting all the way through the process. It's been hard work. But I think the opportunity to work at home was great. I think the opportunity now to create something and pass it off is also wonderful. So,
where did you lose the most sleep as you went through the sales process?
You lost the most sleep. I didn't lose any sleep.
Just everything goes through your mind. You want to go perfect, right? And you want to make sure that the buyer's still engaged. You want to make sure that everything you're putting forward is all the right information, so it can be delivered on a timely basis. Want to make sure Amazon doesn't come in and take a product down in the middle of it.
Right.
Which, by the way, they did.
Okay, that's exciting.
Yeah, exactly. So, you're letting the buyer know, okay, well, Amazon now just took a product down, and the typical new policy, a keyword was probably flagged and had to suddenly go get some lab testing done to prove something.
Yeah.
And they were great. The Perch has said, fine, not a big deal. We keep working through it. It wasn't our main product, so that was fine.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so that gave me a lot of comfort. But at the same time, you're going through all the issues that you need to go through to get your product back live, and all the support calls and so forth. At the same time, you're doing all your due diligence or building the vault and all the materials. So that was pretty stressful getting to that point.
I think the only stressful thing for me would have been if it didn't actually go through after all the due diligence, because then you'd be back to square one or operating your business.
Oh, so yeah, once we made the mental decision, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So once you make that mental decision that you're going to sell, that's a big decision, right? And we went back and forth quite a bit. Well, actually, I was going back and forth with you quite a bit, and so, but once you made that decision, okay, now you're moving forward, right? You're working on the vault, you're working on all your documents, and so yeah, you want to make sure it goes all the way through.
So you've sold the business, but you talked about having a perfect business to hand off. I'm curious around what discussions did you have between the two of you around how do we make sure there's still growth opportunity for the next owner? We've taken the business from 0 to 1. How do we prepare this company so somebody can take it from 1 to 2 in the next phase of the business?
Well, we had lots of opportunity to talk to the staff at Perch and ask them, were they going to get rid of any products? Were they, what were they going to do? And they were very open throughout the whole thing. They have a huge team of wonderful people. Mm-hmm. So that, I think, gave me comfort that they would totally take this and grow it.
But at the same time, we hadn't quite grown internationally yet.
Oh.
Right. And again, it comes back to needing more staff, because logistically, we would have needed to have more infrastructure in place to be able to do those kind of POs and have them shipped over international and have 3PLs internationally all lined
Change the labels.
And so
that market.
That's a growth opportunity for them.
And Amazon did approach us about selling overseas. Like they were ready to provide us with
you were working with them, right?
Yeah, we were working with them, but it's just so overwhelming.
Logistically, it was a little challenging for us.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we had other products developed, right? So we had a couple of new products that we're just launching.
Right.
And so now they have that opportunity as well to launch. And, like anything, when you have a new set of eyes come into your marketing and your strategy towards marketing, they're able to grow it that way as well.
So now that you've sold the business, what do you miss the most about no longer running it day to day? Or do you miss anything about running stuff day to day?
I actually still get up, so I'm still working with Perch and supporting them. And so I get to look at my computer every day just for a really short time, just to make sure they're still on track. And so I think once I can't go back to my Amazon and look at all my babies that are on the screen and how well they're selling, then I might miss it. But for right now, it's the perfect balance.
Well, it's nice not having you wake up every day and it's like, okay, actually. So my strategy was I wake up, turn the computer on, put on my mental hard hat. He's going to get you today. Then you look at your phone and you go, okay. So I don't have to do that every day.
Don't have to go to battle every single day. I totally get that. As you think about this process of selling and then being involved in transition for a period of time, you have to negotiate a certain period of transition. But it's also a way of slowly letting go of the business and seeing that there's somebody else who's now handling this part of the business and this part of the business and so on and so forth. What is the part that you're going to miss the most, where you say, I geek out on this particular thing that I like doing about running my business?
I think it's the success and that gives you like really good feelings. And if the pandemic has been really hard for people that are staying at home, but all of a sudden we're at home. It hasn't changed for us. It's made it busy.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that that little success that you get each week or each month with things growing or creating new products, that I'll miss that for sure.
Would you ever consider building another private label brand?
I think there's a time for that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm not talking non-competes and all that stuff. I'm just talking generally in the future.
Yeah.
Build something else.
Yeah. Well,
we know so much now. Like, we have so much information. It's crazy. Like, the knowledge we have is, we could easily start something new.
Yes.
And it's about finding the right opportunity, finding something we're passionate about, or can really get behind, and find something that we can have a good product market fit, right? So understand who that persona is going to be the buyer persona, and getting the right product design development for new products. And that's like, Amazon's grown so much, and there's so many new sellers, so many products, different types of products out there, that it'll be, you got to be innovative to really bring something new to the market.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We just don't want to do a Me Too product, right?
Yeah, I think the customers are looking for boutiques. They're looking for that boutique type person. That's why they'll purchase on Amazon. So I think there's lots of opportunity for people to jump in to sell on Amazon. They just have to know who they're selling to, and they have to have the right product.
Mm-hmm. So, Carol, let me ask you, what advice would you give to a brand new entrepreneur who's looking at building his or her own brand on Amazon today? Knowing what you know now, if you were to start all over, give advice to an entrepreneur, what would you say?
I think I'd reach out for people who had knowledge, because learning yourself is great. And we were lucky because it was a few years ago that we started, or I started a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it maybe wasn't as technical then. I'd say, like, anyone could throw anything up there, and it didn't matter, really didn't matter. There weren't really many rules. It was a bit, I'd always say it was a bit like the Wild West.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, different boundaries started to pull in tighter and tighter on what you were doing. So I think if someone was starting now, I would, or if I was starting again, no, just wait, sorry. If I didn't know anything and I was starting, I would reach out for advice. I would try and get a bit of advice. So
mm-hmm.
You need a team, right?
You do need a team. There's so much you need to know. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's I wouldn't approach it as a hobby. I'd approach it as, this is going to be a serious business, and every decision I make, I have to be the CEO of this decision. And which, do I take a shortcut and I go get my product tested and see how long I can get away with it until Amazon takes the product down, and then I have to get it tested, right? So those are all risk-reward decisions that I think there's a lot more of those type of decisions for a new entrepreneur today, selling something on Amazon. So,
Carol and Tony, I want to thank you both for joining me today on the Buybox Experts podcast. Tony is currently consulting with other brand owners to support them in their journey to sale and exit. And we will add a link so that listeners can reach out to Tony at the bottom of this podcast. Thank you both, Carol and Tony. We look forward to hearing about your future ventures.
Thank you, James.
great. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for listening to the Buybox Experts podcast. Be sure to click subscribe, check us out on the web, and we'll see you next time.